Dad said. "You've ruined our lives, you're a burden." So I smiled and left. My mom wrote, "Don't come back." I wrote, "Okay, I just stopped paying your bills." And then my phone exploded. "You've ruined our lives, you're a burden." The room fell silent. My father's voice cut through the noise of the family gathering like a knife. I stood there, still holding my fork, staring at him. Mom nodded in agreement, her face contorted in disgust. "You should be grateful we let you live here at all," she added. I blinked. Was this really happening? We were at my uncle's house for his birthday, a real family event. Relatives I hadn't seen in years were sitting around the table, plates full, conversations humming until my parents decided this was the perfect moment to humiliate me. I wasn't even staying with them for free. I was renting a room in their house. They charged me rent their own son while my sister, Emily, got to stay there for free. Not only that, but I paid a bunch of their bills, internet, electricity, part of the mortgage. 6 years? 6 years of making sure their lives were comfortable. And now, in front of everyone, they were acting like I was some freeloader leeching off them. I should have seen this coming. They had always blamed me for their problems. If they were short of money, it was somehow my fault. If something stressed them out, I was the reason. Even as a child, I felt more like an inconvenience than a son. But this was a new level. Dad kept talking. "Do you know how much stress you caused us? We had to worry about you all the time. You were never as easy as Emily. She's responsible, she makes good decisions. That's why she deserves to be with us and you." He scoffed. "You've just been a weight on our backs since the day you were born." I looked at Emily. She was just sitting there, sipping her drink, scrolling through her phone, like this wasn't about me, like it wasn't even happening. I carefully put down my fork, looked at her, and smiled. Then, without a word, I got up and walked out of the dining room. I heard my uncle say, "Okay, that was too much," and one of my aunts trying to tell my parents to calm down, but they were still ranting about how ungrateful I was. I didn't care anymore. I went straight to my room, the one I paid rent for, and grabbed my suitcase from under the bed. My hands were shaking, but not with sadness. With rage. Years of it. Years. And now it finally clicked in my brain, I didn't have to take it anymore. I packed everything I could in 10 minutes. Clothes, laptop, essentials. I could buy everything else later. I wasn't going to spend another night under that roof. As I zipped up my bag, my mom yelled my name from the hallway. I ignored her. I walked past her, down the stairs, past the dining room, where my father was still red-faced, arguing with my uncle. He turned when he saw me. "Where do you think you're going?" I didn't answer. I walked out the front door, got in my car, and drove away. That was it. I was done. A few hours later, my cell phone buzzed. It was a text message from my mom. "Don't come back." I sat in my new apartment, a tiny studio I had found earlier that night. It wasn't much, but it was mine. No parents, no yelling, no guilt. I stared at her message for a few seconds, then put the phone down and exhaled. For the first time in years I felt free. But I wasn't done yet. I waited until it was well past midnight. Then I calmly typed a reply. "Okay, I just stopped paying your bills." Then I pressed record on a voice message. My voice was calm. "I've been paying your expenses for 6 years. You told me not to come back. So I won't. And I'm not going to pay for anything anymore. I hope you can handle that. Good luck." I hit send and went to bed. The next morning, I woke up to my phone exploding with notifications. 50 missed calls. My mom, my dad, Emily, even some relatives. Back-to-back messages, voicemails. I didn't bother to listen. Then another message came. "Where do you live? We need to talk." And that's when I knew. This wasn't over. I let the phone ring. I wasn't in a hurry to hear what they had to say. By noon, the missed calls had climbed to 73. My voicemail was full. My text messages were stacked so high I had to scroll through them. Some were predictable. You ungrateful brat. You can't do this to your family. You owe us after all we've done for you. Then came the guilt trips. We raised you, fed you, gave you a roof over your head, and this is how you repay us? Your dad is so stressed, he's shaking. We just want to talk. Let's work this out. And then what really gave me pause were the messages from relatives. My aunt, Franklin, they're in full panic mode. Just talk to them. My cousin, dude, they're freaking out. They're trying to figure out where you live. My uncle, call me. This is getting out of hand. I stared at my screen. My parents weren't just angry, they were desperate. And that's what worried me. Then another message popped up. From Emily. They're trying to pull your credit reports. Be careful. That made me sick to my stomach. Pull my credit reports? I shot back. What the hell do you mean? A minute later she replied. Mom asked me for your social security number last night. I said I didn't know it, but I think they're trying to get your financial information. I exhaled. This was bad. You see, when I lived there, they had access to a lot of my personal information, my mail, some of my old paperwork, even my online accounts when they helped me set them up as a teenager. If they were digging into my credit now, it meant one thing. They were trying to see how much money I had left, and if they could still get something out of me. And that's when I made a big mistake. I texted back. Tell them to back off. Not 5 minutes later, my phone rang again. It was Mom. I don't know why I answered. Curiosity, maybe. Part of me wanted to hear her squirm. The second I answered, her voice exploded through the speaker. Where the hell are you? I pulled the phone out of my ear. What do you want? How dare you do this to us? She screamed, her voice raw. You think you can just walk away and cut us off? You owe us. I remained silent. Do you know what you've done? She screamed. We can't pay our bills, Franklin. We're screwed because of you. That was when it hit me. They weren't panicking because they missed me. They weren't trying to find me because they felt bad. They were desperate because they couldn't afford their lifestyle without me. I had been holding them back all this time. And now I had pulled the plug. I finally spoke. You told me not to come back. I'm just doing what you wanted. Silence. Then her tone changed, suddenly sweet, suddenly false. Honey, listen. Let's just talk. We can work this out. We can make a deal. Where are you? We'll come over. Just tell me where you are. I almost laughed. No. She snapped again. You think you're smart, don't you? We will find you. Click. I hung up. I sat there staring at the phone, my heart pounding. This was not normal behavior. And then another text. From Emily. Mom and Dad just left the house. I think they're on their way to find you. What the hell? I texted back. How? They don't know my address. Emily. They have your old mail. They know the area. I heard Mom on the phone with someone. I think they hired a private investigator. I froze. They were really trying to track me down. My hands tightened around the phone. A private investigator? Were they that desperate? I looked around my new apartment. The blinds were closed. The doors were locked. But suddenly it didn't feel like enough. I called Emily. She picked up right away. Tell me everything, I said. She sighed. Mom called some guy last night. I didn't hear all of it, but she mentioned that she needed an address verification. She was going through a bunch of your old mail. I think she's trying to track down your bank info, too. My chest tightened. If they had my old mail, they could have old bank statements, even my previous lease info. How long ago did they leave? About 20 minutes, she said. I think they're driving around looking for you. I got up and started packing a bag. Emily, listen. If they ask, you don't know where I live. Duh, she said. Then she hesitated. Look, I didn't say anything before, but you really pissed them off this time. Dad punched the wall last night. Mom cried about revenge. I don't think they just want to talk. I stopped packing. Revenge? Before I could ask, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. Emily exhaled. Franklin, they could have given your number to someone. Be careful. I didn't answer the call. A few seconds later, I received a text message from the same number. You need to come home so we can sort this out. We will find you either way. Chills ran down my spine. I texted Emily. If they ask you anything, play dumb. I need time to figure this out. Got it, she replied. I grabbed my keys and purse. If they were really trying to track me down, I had to be smart. First things first, bank accounts. I went straight to my bank. I walked up to the teller and asked to update my mailing address and security questions. I also asked if anyone had tried to access my account recently. The guy typed for a few seconds, then frowned. Yeah, he said. Someone called yesterday claiming to be you. They asked for balance information. We denied them because they didn't have the right security response. My stomach turned. It was them. I changed everything: new passwords, new alerts, even two-factor authentication. As I was leaving the bank, my phone rang again. It was Mom. I ignored it. But then I got another text. We're close. Close? I turned my head and scanned the parking lot. Were they here? Then my phone buzzed again. A picture. A blurry shot of my car. They had found me. My heart was pounding. They found my car. I looked around the parking lot. I didn't see them, but someone had taken this picture. Were they here watching me? I shoved my phone in my pocket and walked quickly. I had to get out of there. I jumped into my car, locked the doors, and started the engine. My hands were shaking as I backed out of the parking lot. Then, in my rearview mirror, I saw it. A black SUV. Sitting at the far end of the parking lot. The second I pulled out, so did it. They were following me. I took a deep breath. Stay calm. Don't go home. I drove normally, not wanting to tip them off that I knew. But instead of heading back to my apartment, I made a few random turns. Took a longer route. The SUV stayed with me. Okay. They wanted to play games? Fine. I saw a gas station up ahead and made a quick turn into it. The SUV had to slow down to follow. I pulled up to a pump, turned off the engine, and opened the door as if I was going to fill up. The SUV rolled by, then parked at the edge of the lot. There were two people inside. I had to see who they were. Instead of grabbing the gas pump, I walked toward the convenience store of the station as if I wanted to buy something. As I passed the SUV, I looked inside. Dad. And some guy I didn't recognize. Dad was in the passenger seat, looking pissed. The other guy, mid-40s, bald, serious face, had both hands on the wheel, scanning the area like a damn bodyguard. Who the hell was this guy? I walked into the store, grabbed a random snack, and paid cash, all while watching them through the window. They didn't get out of the car. They were waiting. For me. I pulled out my phone and texted Emily. Dad is following me. He has a guy with him. Do you know who? She replied immediately. Oh my God! That's Uncle Ray's friend. He does sketchy stuff. I think he's like a bill collector or something. I clenched my jaw. What the hell were they up to? I sent back. Tell me everything you know about him. Now. Emily. All I know is that he helps people solve money problems. But not legally. My stomach dropped. Not legally. I had to get out of there. I walked out of the store, kept my head down, and got back in my car. I didn't even start it right away. I just sat there and thought. If they were willing to bring in some shady guy, they weren't just trying to talk. They wanted to scare me. Maybe worse. Then my phone vibrated again. Another text. This time from Dad. Come home now and we'll forget this ever happened. Keep playing games and things will get messy. I exhaled slowly. So that was it. They were threatening me now. I looked back at the SUV. Dad was watching me. The bald guy was still scanning the area, like he wanted to make sure I didn't have any backup. I started my car and drove out fast. They pulled out right behind me. Okay. You want a chase? Let's do it. Instead of heading home, I made a sudden right turn. Then another. I sped up, weaving through traffic. The SUV kept up, but they weren't as fast. Then I saw a police station up ahead. I didn't even hesitate. I pulled into the parking lot and parked right in front of the entrance. The SUV slowed down. Then just like that it kept going. Yeah. That's what I thought. I sat there gripping the wheel. They weren't done. And neither was I. I sat in the parking lot of the police station, my heart pounding. The black SUV was gone, but I knew they weren't done. They were testing me. Seeing how far they could push me. I wasn't going to sit around and wait for their next move. I took out my phone and texted Emily. They just tried to follow me. I lost them at the police station. But this isn't over. She replied immediately. I heard Mom on the phone again. They're freaking out. I think Dad is pissed that you ran. I grinned. Good. Let them be mad. Then she sent another text. Franklin, I think they're planning something worse. Mom told Dad, if we can't scare him, we'll make sure he has no choice but to come back. My stomach twisted. No choice? I asked. What does that mean? Emily asked. I don't know, but they're talking to a lawyer. A lawyer? I sat there clutching my phone. What the hell were they trying to pull? Then a thought hit me. My name was still on some of their accounts. When I was younger, they convinced me to co-sign for a few things. A car loan, a joint credit card, things they swore they'd handle. But what if they tried to use it against me now? I had to act fast. I went straight to the bank. As soon as I got to the counter, I told them I needed to remove myself from any joint accounts and freeze any suspicious activity. The teller typed for a moment, then looked at me with a strange expression. There was an attempt to take out a loan in your name yesterday. A large one. I went cold. Was it approved? No, she said. They didn't have the right verification. But they tried more than once. I clenched my jaw. They were trying to trap me financially. Make it so I'd have no choice but to go back. I shut everything down, froze old accounts, updated passwords, even set up fraud alerts. As I left the bank, my phone buzzed. Emily again. Mom and Dad are freaking out. They just realized the bills didn't get paid this month. I laughed. Oh, they're freaking out now? Then she sent another text. Franklin, listen. I think they might try to go after you legally. Mom mentioned filing something against you. I stopped walking. File something? What could they file? And then it hit me. Eviction. Even though I was already gone, they could try to legally evict me on paper, claiming I owed them money for breaking the lease. If they got a case going, it could ruin my credit, put me in debt, even get me blacklisted from renting anywhere else. I texted Emily back. Find out exactly what they're doing. Now. She replied. I'll try. But Franklin, be careful. I think they're really losing it. I exhaled. I had cut them off financially. I had fled. And now they were desperate to bring me back under their control. But I wasn't going down without a fight. I didn't go home. I went straight to a lawyer. If they wanted to play legal games, I was ready. I explained everything, how I had paid their bills, how they had charged me rent while letting my sister live there for free, how they had tried to open loans in my name. The lawyer listened intently. Then she said, if they tried to evict you after you moved out, that won't hold up in court. And if they tried to commit fraud in your name, you have grounds to press charges. That's all I needed to hear. I left her office feeling lighter. For the first time since this nightmare began, I knew they couldn't touch me. Then, just as I was getting back to my car, my phone buzzed. Emily. Franklin, they're losing it. They're screaming about how you ruined their lives. They even told Grandma that you stole from them. I rolled my eyes. Of course they were lying. But then she sent another message. They know where you live. My chest tightened. How? I texted back. Emily. I don't know, but they're on their way. They just left the house. Dad's raging. Mom's crying about how they're going to make you pay. I didn't panic. I was ready for this. I went straight back to my apartment, but instead of going in, I parked a block away and waited. Sure enough, 20 minutes later, a black SUV pulled up in front of my building. Dad, Mom, and the bald guy. They got out and marched up to my door. Dad started pounding on it, screaming my name. I pulled out my phone and hit record. I know you're in there, Franklin. Dad's voice echoed down the street. Do you think you can just walk away from this family? Mom sobbed. You can't do this to us. We need you. The bald guy just stood there, arms folded, watching. They screamed for a few minutes, then Dad kicked the door. Hard. I grinned. There it was. Destruction of property. I called the police. 10 minutes later, lights flashed. As soon as my parents saw the cops, their energy changed. Mom suddenly started crying, acting like she was the victim. Dad tried to say that I had stolen from them and left them. Then I stepped forward, phone in hand. Officers, I said, I don't live there anymore. You've been following me, harassing me, and just tried to break into my apartment. I showed them everything, the texts, the threats, the attempted fraud, and now the video of my father kicking in my door. The police turned to my parents. Sir, ma'am, you need to leave. Now. Dad turned red. He's our son. He owes US. The cop shook his head. No, he doesn't. And if you try that again, you'll be arrested for trespassing. The bald guy didn't say anything. He just got back in the SUV. Mom's face crumpled. But we raised him. The cops stared at her. That doesn't entitle you to his money. And that was it. The game was over. My parents had to leave. I watched them drive away, humiliated. Emily texted me later. They're still ranting, but I think they finally got it. They're done with them. And she was right. For the first time in years, I was free.